The Irrational Confidence Podcast. All right, Fresh, let's go to the game of the week. The reason all of us are going to be tuning in on week 0. It's in Dublin, Ireland. Fresh, you're a fan of the Irish and all their great things that they produce out there. I enjoy a nice Guinness every once in a while here, but we got the Florida State Seminoles traveling out to Dublin to play the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Right now, time to record, spread is Florida State is an 11.5 neutral site favorite in this. Over-under is set at 56.5 here, Fresh. It's like the question of two teams here. Georgia Tech is bringing back, I believe I said 16 or 17 starters from last year on a team that went a very respectable 7-6, winning big in the bowl game against UCF. Florida State had that miraculous run, ended by the untimely injury to Jordan Travis, and then the kind of opt-out bowl game where no one really played against Georgia or anything like that. And then Florida State hits the transfer portal big because they get DJU, who's been at Clemson, Oregon State, and now finishing his career with Mike Norvell at Florida State. Man, this is going to be a fun one. I think that a lot of people are just going to automatically go like Florida State in the 11.5 on neutral site, but Dublin is tricky for a lot of teams, man. It's not an easy place to play in, and it's going to be interesting to see the Seminoles get up there. What you got?
Well, being this the first game, it's a spectacle event. Everyone's going to be watching. Everyone's going to be dissecting. It's not like it's on week 1 where there's 10 other games kicking off at the same time and you might be distracted. Everyone's going to be watching this football game.
Right.
The last memory they have, I don't care opt-outs or not, you got drubbed by the Dogs down in Miami. You offense without Jordan Travis did not look very good versus Louisville in the ACC title game. You struggled versus Florida in that game there, even though you didn't have Travis. The Florida State team hasn't been dominant in a while. And they're kind of like, all right, we've heard all this talk in the off season. You wanted to leave. You're mad you didn't get in the playoff. ESPN is, biased against you. The talking time is over. No one feels sorry for Florida State anymore. If they did, you're done. It's time to start. It's a new season. You got to go and take advantage of the opportunity. You have 17 new transfers. How do those players blend in with this program? You've only had spring practice and fall practice, scrimmages against each other. Where's this team actually going to truly be tested again? You have to come out with your hair on fire in Dublin immediately because Georgia Tech, I'll get into a little bit later, that's a rising program, and Brent Key being an alum and having those returning starters has that team, they're going to be ready to play because they have nothing to lose. No one expects them to compete. They've been up and coming. They've been struggling for a few years. They made the bowl. They're going to be ready to play. You've got to be ready to go. DJU, your third team in 3 years. Clemson, you really struggled. Oregon State, you were blessed with an amazing offensive line, a very good defense, a very quarterback-friendly offense. Now you're trying to learn a whole new set of guys here at Florida State. Their top 3 receivers last year are all gone to the draft. You lost your top running back. Offensive line, I think, is okay for Florida State. They have some solid returning starters there. But how does this blend work? DJU, I'm going to be serious. Not an amazing quarterback, folks. He's not lighting up the world. He's consistent, but he's not the guy who's putting up 4,000, 5,000 yards, making amazing plays with the legs, throwing tons of touchdowns. He's been a manager understanding the offense. He's not going to save the day like Jordan Travis's legs saved the day for Florida State a lot. He made plays on his own. DJU's not making those plays. That means this offense has got to be ready to roll, and they've all got to be in sync.
Right.
Defensively, you lost Verse, Fisk, Bethune, Deloach, Dent, Green, Jones, Lovett Sr., all to the NFL draft. That's a whole heck of a lot of that first year of that depth chart gone. How does that defense get up to speed immediately and ready to play? Defense usually plays faster than offense no matter what, but these guys got to be ready to rock and roll. They've got to set the tone. They might set the tone the entire year while that offense grows. Patrick Payton off the edge, Georgia transfer Marvin Jones Jr. off the edge. The 2 defensive ends are going to wreak havoc for that Florida State defense. They're going to bring the pressure on the quarterbacks, and that actually might be the best thing they have for them, just constantly harassing the opponent. But who's going to be at the defensive tackle spots going to step up? Who at linebackers ready to play? Secondary, you got Shaheem Brown and Fentrell Cypress the second. Who else is going to join them at secondary and really develop? This is the questions this team's got to figure out. The one problem with bringing in transfers and not having tons of your roster being through the initial signing day period of high school recruits is you might get a guy for a year. You might get a guy for 2 years, but how quickly do they acclimate to the program and blend into the culture? If you have a guy here as a freshman, he redshirts his first year, you have him in the building, he's understanding, he gets the scheme, he's been practicing, communicating, like that right there helps him be a little more forward. We look back 2 years ago, that Florida State team in 2022 had a lot of transfers. It took them a while to find their feet. They were exciting. They beat an LSU team that was sort of in the same mode. They both grew as the season went on. And last year, they burst on the scene. This year, all these transfers. Are we going to see a slow upstart from Florida State? And then maybe if they're 2-year guys, next year they jump? Who knows? How fast is the team going to be able to ready to play is what my biggest question is, because there's a lot hanging off the offseason, a lot from last year, a lot of eyes, a lot of pressure. They've got to be elite from the very, very beginning in this football game, or they get upset. I'm not going to say they're going to get blown out, but they could get upset. And that right there will add more credence to, well, you guys, we all knew you weren't worthy, and they're going to hear that talk, and it's going to go on and on and on. It's a must-win game for Florida State. There's no, well, we played great. We're 0-1 in the ACC. We'll go from there. They've got to win. And in my case, they've got to win big to keep all the doubters pushed away. Looking at Tech, physical team, offensive line, defensive line, they've built this very, very strongly in the trenches. Jamal Haynes at running back and Haynes King are the two keys. Haynes King, the quarterback, Jamal Haynes, the running back. The two of them were very, very successful and grew up last year. They're going to be called upon, not just in this game, but going forward in Buster Faulkner's offense to really take it to a next level. Quietly, they put together a passing game that kind of gave them some balance. Eric Milton, Malik Rutherford, the two top receivers, both back this year. Young guys, how do they take that jump in this next season, in this next part of this offense under Faulkner? If you remember Todd Monken's offense at Georgia a couple of years ago, Faulkner was a pupil of his. They're going to run the ball, own the line of scrimmage, play action, a lot of running backs and tight ends involved heavily. That's the kind of offense you're going to see in this football game. They're going to try to slow it down. They're going to try to be very meticulous with the football, drive it, time of possession, keep that Florida State offense on the sideline and wear them out. That's the approach that's going to happen in this football game. It's not going to be a flashy 5-receiver spreads. They're going to run the football, play action. They're going to have to dictate that pace toward Florida State on the line of scrimmage. If Florida State can find ways to dominate line of scrimmage, the game is over. But if they're getting run on eventually, how's that conditioning from summer practice? Are the guys ready to play? Are their legs truly under them? How does that philosophy sort of play in when the ball game works itself through? Georgia Tech, they've built a good team. I think this football game in the end, Florida State is going to win a very, very close game. Give me Georgia Tech and the points. Florida State wins by 8, 9, maybe, if they're lucky. But it's going to be a slugfest. It's going to be a battle. And Florida State will get lucky, I think, because their defense can have a little more talent in the end. But it's not going to be a blowout city. It's not going to be this Florida State, hey, we told you we were great. They're going to have to learn and grow as the season goes on. And if the ball bounces one way or another, Georgia Tech can pull off the upset on Saturday.
Fresh, you're spot on with it. Florida State, if they're going to win this game and win this game going away, it's not going to be the passing attack. It's going to be the rushing attack by them. They're going to need to completely smack Georgia Tech's defensive line in the mouth and just overpower them from start to finish. What we need to see from Florida State is that, okay, it's first down. We're going to run the ball. We're going to go into a run-heavy formation here, and we're going to smack you in the mouth and get 5-6 yards on first down. Setting up 2nd and 5, 2nd and 4, anything that's a short yardage where you can go, I got at least 2, maybe 3 plays, depending on where I am on the field, to pick up this first down. And again, where I can methodically move the ball down the field. I keep Georgia Tech's defense on the field, keep that offense off, and being able to just to smack them in the mouth. Everyone's going to talk about the transfer of DJU. And really, the one that we should really be talking about is Roydell Williams, the running back transfer from Alabama. The dude was a solid running back at Bama. I mean, I don't want to say he wasn't the likes of like Ingraham and Trent Richardson or any of the other great Derrick Henry, any of the great Alabama running backs that came through, but the dude was solid and strong. You take a look, he was averaging, take a look at some of his averages a game. Look at 5 yards a carry at times, and this guy can really be a monster when necessary. I think they struggled a little bit with his health, so we'll see how he handles it this year. Maybe, you're going up against competition. The ACC might be a little bit different. if he's able to get really rolling and really cruising along, that this game could get over quick, fast, in a hurry. I don't think that's going to happen because I think Georgia Tech has done everything in their power to build a very successful football team. I'm very fresh. This is tough for me because I really want to take Georgia Tech in the upset. I really want to take them straight up. I think they're going to pull the upset here, but there's just something in my mind that the ball is going to bounce a weird way, that Tech might be up at the end of the game and just Florida State steals a victory from the jaws of defeat in this type of game here. I love Haynes King, man. I think this kid has got something special to him. I think he's going to really light up the ACC on fire. Everyone else is talking about all these other quarterbacks and what Georgia Tech, like you said, has built over the last couple of years. This kid is something that, I'm not calling him to win the Heisman or anything along those lines, but, never say never on certain things. But the nice thing is that he came in as a little bit more of a mobile quarterback. And as you've talked about how they've developed the passing attack there in Atlanta, he really did a better job. If you take a look at how he performed last year compared to DJU, the kid was a better passer than DJU. Better completion percentage. You take a look, he had 27 touchdowns. If he can cut down on those interceptions, he throws 16 picks, he threw an interception a game, cuts that down. This Georgia Tech team could be like that sleeper team in the ACC. They are a team that you cannot just sleep on and think that you're going to win on this one. I'm going to stick with my initial one because I'm trying to talk myself into taking Georgia Tech in the upset, and I just can't do it. I'm going to go give me the 11.5 in Georgia Tech, but I think Florida State wins it in the end.
It's, Haynes King has gotten comfortable in that offense. I think that helps. DJU
Right.
being a new offense, they're going to have to run the ball a lot to get his confidence up. And you
Right.
brought up Rydell Williams. Also, Indiana transfer Jalen Lucas, leading rusher for the Hoosiers, now down in Tallahassee. Right. And also Lawrence Tofield. So they have a triumvirate of running backs there. And I got a feeling all three are going to get a heavy dose of football early on while DJU and that passing attack grows. It might not be pretty, but you know what, in the end, the Florida State fans, if you win week 1, you're still 1-0 in the ACC.
Right.
You get a chance to take a deep breath. You get Boston College back in dope the week after. You chance, all right, got our feet under us. We're good to go. If you go out to Ireland and you lose, like I said earlier, the chatter, the noise is going to be turned up significantly. There's going to be a lot of questions and a lot of soul searching that might happen. So get it done. Just get the win and move on. And don't care about how pretty it is. W is a W in the end of the day.
Yeah, remember, because Dublin, Ireland is a tough place to play. A couple of years ago, Nebraska.
Better not lose any beer. Make sure they have enough beer for everybody.
Yep. Nebraska went on a Scott Frost death march after the one loss, the one win of the year Northwestern gets is in Dublin, Ireland against Nebraska in an ugly game, and basically sealed Scott Frost's fate going forward. Just kind of became a ticking time bomb there. But Fresh, we got college football back on Saturday. It's going to be an amazing time. I know it's just like a tease there. It's an exciting time though, man. I can't wait to get back into it. And then we'll be back like less than a few days later to a loaded week one. Loaded week one, Fresh.
Thursday night games, Friday night games, Saturday games, Sunday games, Monday night games. Bring it on. Let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, folks, special thanks to our producer, Drew. Without him, none of this is possible. Make sure you check out SpinnableSports.com because the Irrational Confidence podcast is part of SpinnableSports.com. Like, subscribe wherever you get your podcast from. Make sure you guys leave us that 5-star review because you guys know, Fresh and I, we are those 2 5-star prospects. Hey, check us out. Follow us on the socials there on Twitter, Instagram, X, whatever it's called these days. I don't know. I don't know much of the social media. So engage with us. We like talking to you guys. We enjoy interacting with you. Leave us the comments. Let us know how right we are or how, we don't know what the heck we're talking about. So subscribe. That's all I got here, Fresh. I didn't even use my dad jokes to open up the thing. I'll have to save that for the next episode.
Save them for week 1. Everybody, hit SpinnableSports.com for all of your materials. We got previews for fantasy football, NFL, college football, position groups, conference previews, everything you need. Hit us up on socials, stay engaged, and subscribe on Spinable Sports YouTube channel, and we'll go from there. And with that, bye, y'all.